fights. I'll find out how Ron DeSantis earned his reputation as a firebrand governor, whether he'll win the election campaign this November, and investigate the ongoing fight for the future of the Republican Party.
Yes, it does take money to make money trading. But what if someone else provided you with the trading power of a $100,000 money account, along with expert trading alerts to help you manipulate the system? Allow you to make $30,000 each month in profit without risking any real money. It has never been a better time to learn to trade financial markets. Right now, more money is being put into the financial markets.
Taking a moment to let her know who the real superstar is here.
Why
is she still boasting around? She's in a fight, for goodness sake. Back into the ring now. Yeah, count's running out.
Imagine the financial and personal freedom for yourself and your family.
As unpleasant as Candice LeRae has been since she started following the Gargano way, you cannot deny how talented she is in the ring court. How would you suggest gaining the upper hand against a veteran like LeRae, especially when you factor in her willingness to break the rules at times? Overpower her. Look, Candice LeRae's a heck of a competitor, as tough as they come, but she's still, as you would say, plate-sized and can easily be treated as such. LeRae can get it done in the ring, and I happen to think the Gargano way is second to none, but more often than not, Candice can't win when it comes to shooting
six-figure earner title. With this process, we make trading way easier, more lucrative.
She goes back inside the ropes.
If this trading style would be done
her time to shine, and don't you forget.
Solely using a smartphone. Here's how it works.
Not abused in the slightest.
Weekly training, weekly live calls with Luke. It covers trading styles,
with the fireman's carry,
fundamental analysis, and so much more. During the training, practice with different trading tools to get a good feel for each trading
carefully
measured. Your own trading analysis. Use a $100,000 demo account to get familiar with Luke's risk to reward strategy. After the real change, unlock the Funded Partners $100,000 live trading account. Once you're consistently profitable and managing risk, you move up to the two-step evaluation process. So our Funded Partners evaluation, you are getting $100,000 funded capital.
She's showcasing her power right here. Candice LeRae basically being overpowered here. She might even
every step of the way during this process. So you get out of the training in a short amount of time as possible. It takes as little as 20 days or 90 days to get certified. You go from zero trading with $100,000.
We'll get you out of it.
The program is an online, interactive, educational experience that includes video learning, worksheets, weekly live calls with Luke, and real-time trading signals right to your phone every trading day. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced trader, we take away all the guesswork, all the stress.
I don't care how much magic you put on this floor, you are feeling the cement after that
miss. Without worrying about risky trades,
she's beginning to flag
money and the time to enjoy it is why people get into trading. That's what our system is founded on. The students of the Funded Profits
when you decide to finally go on a date, I've got someone I'd like to introduce you to.
So this program
Meet the Wicked
Step
Sister.
You see that, Saxton? Can you put shoulders down? Filling out an application form, looking at rediscovery call. See what it takes to join the Funded Profits Trading Academy. No experience required. Just a commitment and a desire to change the trajectory of your life. Simply click the button below this video to fill in a quick application form to join the Funded Profits Trading Academy and get your free discovery.
Jackson, a leg drop. Thunderous leg drop.
My dad really respected and already recognized, it's very well recognized designers have the flexibility to balance that, so that's my job.
She's got to be careful here. The referee will count her out.
Classes that are every night.
Climbing to the top rope. Take off. Splash. A steady stream of moves taking out LeRae. Candice needs to find a way to break the reins.
Background and his 4 years running America's third largest state. I travelled to Miami to catch up with Black Fearless, a journalist who has known DeSantis since 2014.
How did Ron in the early running career that he had been planning to move up the political ranks, went into the military, and his dad And it was a successful lawyer, not so a successful lawyer, but a successful military man at a high intellectual level. He is now the most successful governor, not just in the country now, but probably in the modern age. He literally bucked the trend of every other governor, Republican or Dem, establishment or anti-establishment. Every single one hewed to the same line on COVID, and he took the variant track.
These closures are enormously destructive, and they will not be tolerated in the state of Florida.
Historically, Florida has been a swing state. However, in recent years, Republicans have come to outnumber Democrats here, partly because of the migration of conservatives from liberal states like California and New York. Will Witt is a journalist who recently moved from Los Angeles to the Tampa Bay area. Why did you move to Florida?
I moved to Florida because I couldn't stand living in California anymore. See what was happening in California with rising inflation. You saw how horrible the roads were. You saw the homelessness. You saw the price of living. It was just
other than meeting lots of conservative friends that's so attractive leadership.
what he's done in this state. I think that what's different about him than other Republican governors or Republican politicians, regardless across the country, is that he has political power and it's done for the people of this state.
So it wasn't your advice to make DeSantis stand out as a politician?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, before that, he got but even then, it was still really all about DeSantis all that much. They thought, it's the COVID stuff instead of because you had a lot of Republican states and even Republican counties who were just going along with this science, the experts. DeSantis none of that. So now, you can look across the country, the ultimate Republican governors who are doing things, whether that's COVID, whether that's the economy, immigration, whatever it is, DeSantis has done it first, and then they
Since winning the governorship in 2018, DeSantis has run Florida for the state's capital building in Tallahassee. There, I went up and also advises the governor's re-election campaign with trade issues. Pam has prayed with Florida's governors and first drivers for years.
Well, yeah, I prayed with him, but this is where I started to see it. I prayed with him. Jeff is a good friend.
So this is Jeb Bush.
Yes.
Trump was called Jeb Bush.
I remember that most I'm not going to get into all that today, but Jeff is a good friend.
This is Charlie Cook. Someone's got Charlie Cook.
I know it's I prayed with him. I prayed the It's just
So the interesting thing about Charlie was that he was the Republican governor, it says here, from 2007. Is that right? And now he's running for the Democrats against Ron DeSantis.
Yes. How's that for interesting?
Why do you think he's changed his mind?
What do you mean, changed his mind? I told you why he became, I can tell you. I mean, he was a Republican, and then because he vetoed the ultrasound bill during a Republican, the session, he didn't honor life. And because of not honoring life, he lost that election. But now he wants to come back. And I'm sorry, not on my watch.
Britain's a much more secular country to the United States. You've been to...
It didn't used to be.
Well,
No.
And you're a woman of faith.
Yes.
You've prayed with many governors here over the years. Can you explain your perspective to a British audience?
There is a large group of people, including in government in Washington right now, trying to shut the mouths of people of faith, trying to marginalize us, trying to say if you don't bend to our woke ideologies and you don't bow, whether it's this group and this thing, whether, you have to be pro-abortion, you have to be pro-LGBT, you have to be pro-everything that we are, or you need to shut up. Not on my watch.
If you could rate Ron DeSantis, how would you rate him?
He is a 10. He is an amazing governor. He has not wavered. He's not bent his political ideologies or anything else to the current mood. He has been strong and was that way in Congress, but stepping into being governor at such a time as this, he has not been afraid to run to the battle. In my perspective, we are in a battle between the forces of good and evil.
So you've never seen it so divided?
No. No.
Can you blame DeSantis for that in any way?
No, DeSantis doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm talking about across the United States. No, DeSantis is not a divider. He is actually one that speaks well. He's a kind man. But is he firm? He's military? And he's strong. Some people don't like strong leaders, do they?
One of Ron DeSantis' most controversial acts as governor was signing the Parental Rights in Education bill, dubbed by his enemies as the Don't Say Gay bill. The legislation banned teachers from discussing sexual orientation or gender identity with children aged between 5 and 8 years old.
This is the place where the students came to protest the so-called Don't Say Gay bill.
Mm-hmm. They did stuff outside and inside, and then here during session when the bill was being passed, which was a good bill to protect parents' rights and the students. It didn't even use the word gay. It had nothing to do with Don't Say Gay at all. But they stood here and protested. And I talked to a lot of them, and many of them hadn't read the bill.
It's not just through legislation that Ron DeSantis has attempted to fight woke indoctrination in schools. In Florida, residents have the right to vote for their local school board representatives. These representatives, who are usually parents, have oversight over the budgets and curriculums of schools in their district. In recent years, these elections have become highly politicized. To explain why, I caught up with Bridget Ziegler, a school board member who was endorsed by DeSantis.
Hello? Inflation is rising. We need to diversify. Mom? I'm adding more exposure to crypto. What time is it? Well, it's crypto time, baby! I created a monster.
Grayscale, building the future of financial legacies.
Stuck it out through this match, but it wouldn't have to go for the tag.
Can you give me some examples of what's being taught in these schools that's so egregious?
It's a constant trickle, and it's introduced very early, so it's subtle. Back when I was going to school, you would have a piece of paper, and it would say name and date. Harmless. Well, and that's as early as kindergarten. You're learning how to write your name. You're learning how to identify the date. Well, now, a lot of the supplemental material will have pronoun, name, and date. And so you're introducing this to a 5-year-old very early on. And it's, well, what's a pronoun? There is a number of different library books that we've talked about, genderqueer being one of the most egregious that we've found in Sarasota. I have been told it does not exist, but I know in many, many other counties in the state of Florida. And if you look that up, most places can't even print it or showcase it on their website because it would violate FCC regulations or be deemed pornographic. And on top of that, you're seeing these institutions, with the support of special interest groups, create more and more barriers so parents don't have access to this information or don't know that. So they don't even have the opportunity to have that conversation with their child and talk through it. And so it's creating a separation and a division between minor children and their parents, and it's always under the guise of, school is the safe place. You can tell us what's happening here, even if your parents don't understand you.
So let's be really clear about what we're talking about. So these conversations that children are having with people within the schools rather than with their parents are about gender transitioning. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Right, so what you can choose, if you were born a girl, doesn't necessarily mean, there are trainings that explain that the doctor could have been wrong, that there is not necessarily just a boy or a girl because you came out.
So that's what they're teaching children?
Mm-hmm. It's not teachers, as the mass majority of teachers have no interest in doing this. It's a calling if you're a teacher. All the while, there has been a new generation that they're training, new line of educators in this more indoctrinated, very progressive aspect. You think of libs of TikTok, you see those younger teachers that are training like kindergartners and such.
Tiffany Justice founded the group Moms for Liberty, a nationwide campaign aimed at protecting parental rights.
How has the governor, Ron DeSantis, got involved in these school board elections in Florida?
He decided to endorse in local school board elections, and I think that's because he saw how important they were. Florida in 2021 passed a Parents' Bill of Rights that very clearly said and recognized that parents have a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. That's their education, their medical care. And what I mean by fundamental right is that that's a right that is not given to you by the government and cannot be taken away. If you're a religious person, perhaps that's God or nature's God, but a fundamental right, something that the government does not grant you. It was remarkable that he did it. It was a risk, to be honest with you. Not many governors get involved in local politics like that, but we were thrilled to see him get involved in that way.
For DeSantis to win his re-election campaign, he will need the support of the Hispanic community in Florida. In Miami's Little Havana, I caught up with some Cuban Americans. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and who you are?
My parents fled communism. They escaped from it. My father was a political prisoner. And so, I was raised and live in a city of people who escaped communism and socialism and really understand its destructive effects.
In terms of Ron DeSantis, how do you think that Cuban Americans and other people who fled communist countries, what do they think of the governor here?
Oh, well, our community very supportive, loves the governor. One, because he's taking a strong stance to protect businesses during COVID from shutting down. He fought back against the excesses of overbearing government. He's done a great job in calling balls and strikes and fighting back against the interference, the intervention of the left.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your governor speaking. Today's training evolution, dogfighting, taking on the corporate media.
So tell me about your story. Why did you come to Miami?
Well, my family moved to Miami in 2013 out of harassment of the regime, the same regime that killed my father the year before, 2012. And then I started to harass my brothers, and we, as a family, in my house, we started to receive phone calls from the state security saying, "Some of the vision going to kill you." So my mother decided to move the family.
Do you think that people appreciate the threat that communism poses to people here in America or all around the world?
If we're talking about the Cuban community, for sure. If we are talking about the people of the United States, I think that there is a lot of misconceptions, and especially young people are ignorant regarding the importance of promoting freedom and the truth about the crimes of the communist regimes. But I was personally involved in promoting for the public schools to teach about the crimes of communism, not only in Cuba, but in the rest of the world, and the threat that it poses to freedom, stability, and prosperity in the whole world, but also here in the States. And I was glad that Governor DeSantis actually signed that law.
Opinion polls put DeSantis firmly ahead of his Democratic rival in the race for governor. If, as seems likely, he is re-elected, his next political fight could be for the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential election campaign. His only problem, Donald Trump. To discuss the two most popular choices among Republican voters for president, I spoke with the historian Al Felsenberg. Do you think there's any real ideological difference between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis?
No. I would say there are two Ron DeSantises. If we hear our national campaign starting, you'll hear the other one come out, as well as the one we're reading about. On one end, there is this, I won't call it attention getting less. That's the program that he has. For war with Disney. I mean, these are all things that make great headlines. But then there's the policy monk. And I'll give you an example. There's Dishonest, the environmentalist. But what did he do his first year? He wasn't doing what I just described. He's poured a lot of resources into Lake Okeechobee and a lot of resources into saving the Everglades. He got 2 reservoirs out of Donald Trump. The kind of things a centrist or even a Clinton kind of Democrat might have tried to do. He used his closeness to the president to help the people of Florida. He talked about increasing the reading scores of schools and increasing the salaries of public teachers. Did all that. This kind of started midway in Trump's term when he realized that we don't know where the future of the party is going. And we don't have an obvious heir, whether Trump would have 2 terms or 1. And to be very, candid with you, he's the only governor anyone in America can identify and have heard of.
Though Florida is DeSantis' state, Donald Trump still has his loyalists here. Anna Paulina Luna is running for Congress for the Republicans in Tampa. Known as the GOP's answer to the young Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Anna still favors President Trump to run in 2024. Are you a typical Republican?
No, absolutely not. I think a lot of my perspective is not what you would, I'm wearing Vans. I think that that's a lot different from your typical Politico, but I'm okay with that. That's, I think, why I'm able to target such a different audience. I have upwards of 70% favorability with the younger generation, I think largely in part because of social media, and I'm so active on it.
How has Ron DeSantis helped you? Do people like the governor here, and is that sort of influencing your race?
100%. A lot of people don't know this, but Governor Ron DeSantis co-founded the House Freedom Caucus. I am also endorsed by the House Freedom Caucus, and I intend on joining them. But more importantly, Governor DeSantis was also endorsed and vetted by President Trump, who also endorsed and vetted me as well. And so I think a lot of people are really excited about DeSantis. They're really excited about what he's done, especially, he kept our state open when so many people around the country were advocating for us to shut down as a country because of COVID-19.
It's interesting you mentioned Trump and DeSantis, so you've got an endorsement from Trump. And when we're looking at the Republican Party today, there are some people who say, well, these are the 2 rival figures for the 2024 presidential election. What do you make of that rivalry between Trump and DeSantis? Do you see the Republicans as being divided in that way?
No. In fact, I think a lot of people, what we're seeing is national polling is showing over 70% of Republicans, especially with the unjust raid on Mar-a-Lago by the FBI, would literally walk over glass for President Trump. A lot of these people may have been people before that had been, maybe on the border, but they love President Trump. I love him. And I can tell you that I've heard those rumors, but only being pushed by people that were never Trumpers. So I think Governor DeSantis has an insane amount of respect for President Trump. I know I respect both of them, and I think that Trump will run in 2024, and I hope to see DeSantis run in 2028.
Others are less supportive of Donald Trump.
Trump is so fixated on 2020, he's lost his own lead, L-E-D-E, when you say the lead in a news story. It's all about him still, and I think that's coming across. On the right, we're not about celebrity and cult of personality. We're about getting things done that hew to our policy and philosophical ideals. As a legislator, as a lawyer, as a SEAL, as a governor, his track record speaks for itself. It is superlative, and it's so in variance to the establishment's right and left that we saw during COVID that he stands out so much for it.
I wondered whether DeSantis really has what it takes to be president. Al is no stranger to historic American leaders. Do you think that you could compare DeSantis to some historical presidents who, before they became president, so you could look at Nixon or Reagan?
He reminds me a little bit of Governor Reagan. When Reagan came in California, he did call his friend Bill Buckley and some other people, and he said, can you get me some really good speechwriters? Can you get me an economist? Can you get me somebody who understands how to deal with problems appropriately? They're blowing up everywhere. Can you get me someone helping the crime? And DeSantis, same thing. Most of our successful presidents have been governors in general. And the one that comes to mind is Teddy Roosevelt. He had pizzazz, he had charisma. And I'll say he was drawn to a great deal, many of stunts. Which he's been accused of having stunts. Stunts got a name recognition. He was charmed with being press, also with the Spanish American War. Yes, he was a hero. Yes, he was prepared to die. And he was going to do that. But had a series of elderly candidates. We've had 2 presidents now. I always tell my students, look to the opposite of what you have. You have drive and power, solid and boring. Kennedy.
No disqualification stipulation.
After Carter, you have Reagan. And after Saturday Night Phil, you had Sunday Morning George Bush. All right. So you have 2 presidents in a row who are in their 70s. And you have a president in their 40s with energy and who's articulate and plugged into the conservative network with a couple of things that appeal to moderates. I do think that.
So far, DeSantis has managed to unite both ends of the Republican Party, from those less supportive of Donald Trump like Matt, to those who still stick by the former president like Anna. Going into 2024, this balancing act may become harder, especially if Trump decides to run. For now, DeSantis will continue to act as a model politician for those on the right, willing to use the law to fight the culture wars, not caring about what the media or celebrities think of him, and showing a level of competence and composure conservatives in Britain could only dream of.
Looking worse for wear in the corner now. Byron, you any good at geography? I know what this is. Sunrise. And shoulders are down. Real knocks take advantage.
Governor Ron DeSantis stopping in South Florida tonight with just 4 days to go until Election Day.
Charlie Crist also hitting the road for the final push. Local 10 Steve Stanwood is in Coconut Creek with the latest on the fight for governor. Both camps trying to fire up their supporters and get out the vote. Governor Ron DeSantis here at this mixed martial arts training facility. You could see the big truck is now here, and he'll be on to the next. Governor Ron DeSantis in the fighting cage, literally holding a campaign rally at American Top Team, a mixed martial arts training facility in Coconut Creek. There was even an appearance by controversial MMA fighter George Masvidal.
We want to send a very strong message that freedom is here to stay in the state of Florida.
The governor repeating his message that Florida is pro-police.
We are a law and order state in Florida.
A better steward of tax money, an anti-mandate during the pandemic.
So they were trying to prosecute a gym owner because he didn't make everyone wear a mask when you're working out. First of all, you're not supposed to wear a mask when you're working out.
Democratic opponent Charlie Crist also making campaign stops in Jacksonville Friday night, coming off a big visit in South Florida earlier in the week with President Joe Biden.
Freedom is on the ballot. Your right to vote is on the ballot this election. Governor DeSantis is making it harder to vote. I want to make it easier to vote. I want to make sure that we make Election Day a state holiday. A lot of working folks have a hard time getting out to vote.
Broward remains a stronghold for Democrats who outpace Republicans in early voting. Broward remains a stronghold for Democrats who outpace Republicans in early voting. But in Miami-Dade, for the first time in years, numbers show Republicans.
Lady yells at garbage man.
She's on unsteady legs in the corner, needs to recover. Oh yeah, she is really showing her confidence. What a slam. Snap suplex. Big boy. Focus on the arm here. Knox isn't going to like what's about to come her way.
Christopher Eckert, you doing an illegal activity. Who's not illegal? We'll see. They don't know I'm here.
The cops have already come, dude. Chill out.
You're not done with me. Okay, cool.
Bye, Karen. Bye, Karen. Bye, Karen.
Somebody ran at her.
No, this is just a wife. Oh, my goodness. You're the only one that thinks that.
Okay, did she throw away my Minnie Mouse one, too? Can you get that, please? Sorry. Thank you. Those are Christmas gifts.
Sorry. You are so full of shit.
How am I
been out here for 8 months.
Yes, this is my, for Christmas. I bought those for Christmas. It's so bad. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Thank you. Bye. Oh, is that liquor in there? I bet it is. I bet it is. I bet it is. I bet it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like you're a drunk. You're a drunk. You're a drunk. TikTok famous. TikTok famous. You are. Why do you have to throw my kids towards away? I don't have to do shit that the officers didn't tell me to do. You live over there. You live over there. You live over there.
Tremendous victory in this triple threat match. I honestly think she just put the rest of the women's locker room on notice with this triple threat match.
They feel like they're the boss of all black people. I'm your supervisor. I'm checking in to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And it's that sense of entitlement that's been part of our history where any old person on the street, you don't have to be a police officer, you don't have to be a teacher or a doctor. You can be any old civilian, just walk up to a black person because I'm your supervisor and I'm in charge. And they feel like they can do that.